And welcome back. Many thanks for staying with KTN Weekend Prime. Now, the Burundi National Party, CNDD-FD, has today staged mass protest in Bujumbura against a scathing UNHCR report that details massive human rights violations. Party members took to the streets singing and holding placards and also chanting party slogans. Party members have discredited the report, claiming that it is partisan and fraught with hidden agendas. Trix Ingado gives us more. All right, let's just cross over live to Burundi's capital, Bujumbura, where our Trix Ingado has been following these events unfolding from that capital. And it's good to see you, Trix. Good evening to you. Maybe talk to us about the government's reaction to this UN report.
Thank you very much, Sharon. Well, the government has been emphatic that this report is not correct, mainly because of the way in which they say the UN went about their investigations or their research. They say the people that were interviewed or the people who were respondents to their questions were not even people in Burundi. There were people in exile or people in diaspora and people in refugee camps in other countries. And therefore, they feel that this kind of people who are not in touch with what's happening in Burundi and on the ground cannot give credible information on what's happening on the ground. The UN did ask the Burundian government to give some information on, or to allow them to conduct those investigations, but it is said that the Burundian government did not cooperate with them. But the Burundian government, on the other hand, says that they did go ahead. There was a previous report that the UN did that was akin to a movie. They did not like it, and so they had some preconditions before that they could engage people here in Burundi in doing that research. But because they did not accept those preconditions, then the Burundian government did not allow them to do so. So we're having two sides of this story: a side of the UN that tried to do some research, tried to investigate, tried to ask questions and find out what's happening, and they came out with a report that is really scathing, because they say that people have been killed, there have been extrajudicial killings, there have been sexual offenses and very many things that are untoward they allege have been done by members of the Burundian government. But of course the Burundian government has said this is not so, because the process was not followed. But for more on this developing story, let's take a look at the report that I prepared earlier on for you. These were the sights and sounds on the streets of Bujumbura for the better part of the day. Thousands upon thousands of CNDD-FD party members on the streets of Bujumbura in protest against a scathing UN report that points an accusing finger at some top members of President Pierre Nkurunziza's administration for alleged massive human rights violations. Supporters of the ruling CNDD-FD party have taken issue with said report, and it poured out into the streets of Bujumbura. The report in question was released this September, claiming that top government officials, members of the police force, the Burundi Intelligence Agency, and even members of the CNDD-FD Youth Wing have overseen human rights violations visited upon citizens in the form of extrajudicial killings, sexual violence, torture, inhumane treatment, and forced disappearance, among other crimes against humanity. Party members are questioning the validity of the report and have since rubbished its call for suspects to be tried at the International Criminal Court.
The report number 1 was in June last year, and that report was really wrong and bad. It was like a movie. So we told them, before you come back, please, let's discuss first how you will work. And they refused to listen to us. As far as they remain reporting liars with political agenda, I think we'll go to withdraw from it.
Our authorities, they are the one who work very, very well. You cannot imagine. So for the ICC, we don't understand why they want to do something like this.
And to drive that point home, party members marched, danced and chanted party slogans, bringing business on the streets of Bujumbura to a halt.
We have come here to be together with other members of the CNDD-FD party so as to rebuke and to reject forcibly those fake reports that have been developed by the UN experts, the so-called UN experts.
The government has officially denied the report, saying, and I quote, Burundi does not consider itself in conflict with the UN, but deplores the act of interference of certain member countries of the EU and advocates of neocolonialism. The report by the United Nations opens fresh wounds for a country that has been trying to resist interference from outside elements. And with this rejection of that report, it remains to be seen whether there is any weight to said violations or even if the alleged victims will get any justice. Trix Ingado, KTN News, Bujumbura, Burundi. Okay, one thing that I would like to point out is that this report does not say that these are things that have been orchestrated by the current president, Pierre Nkurunziza, but highly placed individuals in the government. So it's not touching on the president, but it just says that there are certain people in the government who have taken advantage of their power and gone against and perpetrated crimes against humanity. At the same time, it is also important to note that me and my cameraman, Nebat Saisi, have made our rounds here, and the situation is not as dire as some would expect. There's no violence, even though I'd like to point out that security really is tight around the city, but it's not as it has been alleged by a lot of people or portrayed to the international community. So this is something that people are not really happy, especially people of the ruling party, CNDD-FD, who says that this type of reports, they give a bad picture of their country, and yet they're trying really hard to put things together and make sure the government and the leadership of this country is working smoothly. Back to you, Sharon, in studio.
Right, many thanks. Trix Ingado there and our cameraman Nabat Saisi are following those events in Bujumbura, in Burundi, and they will keep us updated as to how that unfolds. Right now, we want to take another short break here on Weekend Prime. Don't go too far, we have sports news coming up.